You're the best, Avi. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. I was not picking favorites right there in the beginning to start the show, but I am with the three GOATs once again: Jason Aponte, Grant Cohn, Javier Vega. Let them know where they can find all you guys.
On
the
Twitter,
internet.
on the internet. In the what is it? In the minds of 49ers fans everywhere. That's where you'll find Grant.
Rent free.
For sure. Jason Aponte 2103 on internet, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Jason Aponte. Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fourth of Gold podcast.
Grant
Grant Cohn's just everywhere. Just Google me, he says.
Yeah.
Google me.
Let's talk about it. 49ers won 23-20. Victory Monday. Feels great. Not going to say the baby at the end of that.
Feels great, baby.
You hit it.
There it is. But going into that game, they had some weird things going on as far as they were kind of homeless. And it feels a little personal at this point. Jed York has had some issues with the city of Santa Clara, not necessarily the county. But now it seems like the city won over the county a little bit and told the 49ers, hey, you guys got to hit the road and find some place to practice, find some place to play, because that ain't here. And now they're going to Arizona. That's been resolved. But this feels a little bit personal when it's Santa Clara versus the 49ers. I tweeted something saying the 49ers should just move back to San Francisco. Grant, you've touched on it. The stadium is okay. Like,
it's convenient for me
for what it is. I would probably rather go to a game at Candlestick than Levi's still, even though that water was leaking or whatever was going on there.
It felt very homey there, you know.
But let's talk about
it. Yeah. It's pretty funny. I mean, yeah, it does seem like there's something personal going on between them and the city, but I mean, is the county doing anything wrong? Is it all about the 49ers, or are they just not cutting the Niners a break, basically? It seems like the Niners want a break here, and the Santa Clara County is like, well, sorry, we're not going to do that. But what's going on is the Niners needed Santa Clara to help them fund the stadium. Then when they got the stadium, they started kind of like going to war with the city. Like, they recently tried to buy up city council seats by Jed York donated $3 million to the race. There's a lot of bad blood right now.
Right.
So I don't know if that's part of it, but the Niners came out yesterday like acting like Santa Clara County had done something personal to them. And I don't know. Maybe that's just paranoia.
That's the thing, right? Like, Kyle was so fired up in the press conference about that. Like, I haven't seen him that mad after a loss. Like, the way he was being snarky and when he was talking. So, like, he completely said that they were blindsided by it. How true that is it just, I mean, that response just gives you, a little bit of insight into where this organization felt that they were with all of this. And then to find out, like, he was pissed. He was like, coming off a win like this, he was so mad about finding out about this. And like I said, I don't think I've seen him as mad after a loss. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he has a point to be angry. If you find out as you're boarding a plane or if you're in the air at Los Angeles, these guys don't have anywhere to go. Like, they're stuck in LA and they can't go back to their families. The obvious safest place for them to go is back home. You know what I mean? They've been quarantined. They've been tested every day. Grant, you go to games. I'm sure they test you and all that other stuff. They've done pretty good protocols. And for the city or the county to be like, we'll just pass this now while you guys aren't here, knowing that they're leaving and they can't come back anyway. So how would they be able to practice, get ready for the game? And they can't come back anyways. If they would have came back Sunday night after a certain hour, they would have.
So it feels like an anyways. FU. It feels like
it feels like an FU from the council, the county to the 49ers. And if I'm Jed York, I said it on my pod. I'm like, man, maybe just cut your losses, figure out another way to get out of Santa Clara. Like, I mean, how much revenue do the Niners bring Santa Clara County? Like, I've been out there. They ain't shit out there except for Great America Park and the stadium. There's nothing else out there, and a Target down the street. Like, there's nothing going on there. Like, they should have never put the stadium in Santa Clara to begin with.
That's the point. They should have never put the stadium there. But the thing is, they wanted it there because it's convenient for them because they have their facility there and they all live in the South Bay. What they could do, what Jed could just do is to end this war with Santa Clara because he kind of started it. Mm-hmm. Just end it. Stop trying to take over the city and extend the curfew and take over the soccer field and all these little petty things and just create a, positive relationship with them. I don't see why that's so hard. Like, just accept the curfew and let him play soccer next to you. Like, what's the big deal? To me, this is like consistent with Jed starting a war with his neighbors. Remember that a few years ago up in Los Gatos Hills, like all of his neighbors were mad at him because there was something in his yard that wasn't regulation and it was cutting off people's views. And it's like, dude, can you just be a good neighbor?
Rich people problems.
Be a good neighbor. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, State Farm Stadium is the good neighbor. Sorry, kick me out for that
They
one. I'm
really
sorry.
are. Though.
That was good. That was good. That was
Like, the
good.
Cardinals
All right.
like, that's like a nice thing that they did.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would understand the city if they had a Ravens situation going on where it was guys just not wearing a mask, being like not obeying protocols, or Denver Broncos quarterback room, or even the Raiders, they got a draft pick taken away from them. If the 49ers were in that position, I'd be like, you know what? I completely understand what the county is doing right now, but it doesn't seem like they had that situation going on. Yes, they had guys go on the list for close contact or even testing positive, but it didn't seem like anybody was ignoring the protocols and just saying, F it, I'm going to do me. And so that's why it does feel a little personal, but Jed York is never going to win this battle against the county. He's never going to win. So he has to just do whatever he can to get on the good side.
Here's what I think happened. The Niners were trying to get a new stadium for a long time in San Francisco. And San Francisco wouldn't budge because the Niners are a big deal, but so is San Francisco. So the Niners went to the South Bay, and I think Santa Clara, if you've ever been there, it's a minor league freaking town. It's a tiny little spot. And I think they were enamored at the idea of becoming a big league town. The Niners want to come here? Great, sounds good. But what the Niners had in mind, I think, were kind of like to take advantage of a town that doesn't have as much power and clout and money as San Francisco. And I think Santa Clara felt that pretty soon. And they're like, wait a second, you're not just going to come here and take over. You're not the king of Santa Clara, Jed. We still have some power. And that's the war right there. I think the Niners thought that they could kind of do whatever they wanted down there. And they can't.
And then I think to Leo's point too about how, you know, the team, what was it that you just said? See, why I always lose it right there, right before you definitely have
because you're
about how Kyle Shanahan was upset because he feels that they've done everything right as far as protocols go. Literally this team has been, you know, at least the way that he sees it, right, and how upset he was. This team has been doing everything that they can with these protocols and have been adhering to all of it. Even when, you know, the 49ers were dealt that horrible hand on Thursday night, they feel like they've done everything that they can. To have this happen right now is like, it does seem a bit petty right now, you know, at this point, right? To just be like, yeah, it's done. Not even, yeah, this is what the lockdown is going to be, but we're also going to make a bit of an amendment for people that are playing professional football. It's just like, nah, it's all done. That's it. As if the 49ers were the reason for this outbreak, which seems silly to me.
I'll tell you right now, Kyle was doing a little bit of acting. I think that all that over-the-top outrage. You said it. It was like he's more upset than when he loses a game. To me, He was speaking for Jed. Jed is in the background. He can't talk. This is Kyle speaking for the organization and Jed in particular. And I'm sure this is a lot of the stuff Jed has said privately. And these are Jed's feelings. It's Jed's issue. So I think this is Kyle Shanahan being like, I got you, Jed. Let me handle this publicly for you.
So I can get a quarterback.
Yeah. Exactly. I scratched your back, you scratched mine. I had your back on this issue. You got to get rid of Jimmy and let me get the quarterback I want. I don't know. It's always deep like that. I think it's something going on. I don't think he really cares that much. Honestly, it might be good from a coach's perspective. You get to get away from Levi's. It's like boot camp. You have them under 100% surveillance. They can't get any women in, no girlfriends, nothing. I mean, it might be what's best for the 49ers. They're 1-4 at home this year.
As Marco said right here, is maybe the county was mad because Jed drove down the wrong way of the street.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. You know, don't that was it.
Come on, Jed. But I think it's kind of hilarious that San Diego threw their name in the hat for being a stadium. I was like, oh yeah, that's my neighbor. Let's do it. But their facility it's trash.
Why didn't they just use Cal? They could have practiced it at the Raiders' old facility in Alameda and played at Cal.
NFL said they had to be in an NFL stadium.
They had to be in an NFL facility. Yeah,
Why?
like they completely took that off the board off the rip. Yeah, and again, they want to be able to control the facilities, right? Because they already know like what's there.
And the money, this revenue, whatever revenue they bring in for that's going to go right into the way the salary cap is adjusted. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so yeah.
All right. It just seems like they want to go to Arizona so they can have fans. I don't know. Maybe not.
They wouldn't, and Arizona said no. Arizona said
Yeah,
no.
there is no more fans. Yeah, so now it's just I see. I thought the same thing because I was already looking up flights, and I was like, "All right, I'm out here or whatever." You know, I just
I
gotta
didn't
come
want
back to
Arizona, and
quarantine.
everything changed. I tell you.
Right, and
All
then
I'm saying,
yeah,
they're 4-2 on the road. This might be exactly what they needed. This might be
And
the
the-
blessing in disguise.
the Bills can't be happy. They don't want to go back to this place and relive what the hell just happened to them either. Like that's what's funny
Right.
to me is like the Bills got to walk right back in there.
Does Mullins got that in him though?
What?
Hey, man.
What
That throw? I
don't know.
The Hail Murray?
He's an enigma. He's
The
an
Hail
enigma.
Mullins?
I just don't know.
The Hail
All I
Murray.
know is that when Deebo Samuel's on the field, he makes the quarterback's job so easy, man. So easy.
Super easy.
Super easy.
Let's jump
I
right
don't really.
in.
Yeah. What?
Game ball.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. Who wants
I'm
to
not picking Debo. That's the obvious one. I'm not picking Debo. In this.
There's like
There's
10 people who are
so many great
deserving.
people that I'm sure
Yeah.
we can all realistically make a case for 4 different players. So
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'll go Jimmy Ward. I mean, this one seems easy, right? Like, you know, everybody's talking it up, right? He had 2 turnovers worthy plays in the same game, right? He had been thrown around, you know, after the Saints game that he dropped the interception and how long it's been, you know, and all that stuff. But Jimmy Ward, man, it seems like, you know, Saleh was letting him play around in the box and was letting him play strong safety. So I think we got a really, really good look at what this secondary will look like. I just finished watching this game. Tarvarius Moore, you know, on a bootleg was out there covering Tyler Higbee. Like, you know, this defense looks a little bit different now that Jimmy Ward is patrolling. He adds a little bit more. Like, I think that all of the stuff that Jimmy's taken this entire time, wouldn't it be the craziest thing if all of a sudden this happens and now he gets to play as, and all of a sudden he unlocks exactly what you know what the 49ers thought they saw with him. But it's got to be Jimmy Ward, man. He was all over the place in coverage. He was all over the place. You know. Knocking fumbles out, man. I gotta give it to Jimmy Ward. I gotta give it to Jimmy Ward, man. Big game. He heard all that stuff that everybody was talking about him, and he showed out at the right time.
Did he play like that star role like Jalen Ramsey does? He was kind of like everywhere yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
he
thought
was.
so. He was around the box a
Yeah.
lot. He wasn't deep very much. And I think that's a way better use for him. Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I think too. And it's
underneath
and
zones
it's
and
sad
minimum
because it's sad because a lot of people have been asking for that. Like, you know, had already been asking for him to stop being the safety valve in the back, especially since Tarvarius Moore can close and go deep with the best of them. So, I mean, I think it was just eye-opening. Maybe the 49ers found out, you know, what they should really be doing with Jimmy Ward.
yeah. My game ball goes to Javon Kinlaw. Without him, the Niners don't win this game. That pick 6. I mean, they scored 1 offensive touchdown. The Niners didn't move the ball very well at all in that game. If it wasn't for Javon Kinlaw and his instincts to kind of bail on his pass rush and kind of sit in the passing lane, you know, a big man should not run like that. And, you know, he got some hops, I guess, and pick 6. That was a humongous play, especially right after the half. We talk about it on our podcast, and even Kyle talks about it, doubling up on teams. You go in at half. If they would have hit the field goal, Robbie Gould, they're up 10-3. You get a touchdown out of the half, you're up 17-3. Things change. So, that Kinlaw interception was huge. Whether, you know, even if he just intercepted and not had a touchdown, they would at least got 3 out of it. So I think he deserves a game ball, and he was everywhere. He was in Jared Goff's lap all game. Him and Kevin Givens just balled out. That's a really good combo. I like that combination of those 2 guys inside.
Kevin Givens, man.
Penn State, baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I mean, I'm just gonna go with my guy Kinlaw because I was pounding the table for him in the draft process, everything. So, you know, Kinlaw, game ball for me.
Those are 2 really good ones. I can't quarrel with that. And then, of course, Deebo Samuel. The Niners wouldn't have had an offense. He was the offense in this game. So I don't need to say much about him. I want to go like a couple undercover guy or one undercover guy, just because. Kerry Hyder. I don't think we've talked about, or I don't think people have talked about him enough. Like, when you preview a game, no one's ever like, well, what is this defense like? How is this team going to account for Kerry Hyder? You know, I don't think of him that way, but he has 7.5 sacks through 11 games. This guy could finish the season with more sacks than Nick Bosa had last year or Eric Armstead had last year. Like, just because he's not a household name, we don't talk about him, but he's in the running for team MVP this year. He's having a great year, and he's going to make a lot of money next year. He's a great story. Kerry Hyder, 2 sacks.
Yeah. And that second one was on a big 3rd down play as well. He was the only guy creating any type of pressure on that play. So who knows if he doesn't get that sack, Goff might have had enough time to convert that 3rd down.
And he has more sacks than D4 does in a Niner uniform.
That's a great stat.
Yep.
That's a great stat.
It's crazy how he's playing himself into a bag right now.
Cost and shit, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just think back when Nick Bosa went down. I mean, people are like, that's it. It doesn't even matter what happens. Like they can have the rest of the team and this team is going nowhere. But actually, Kerry Hyder's done everything to make up for that loss.
He's a guy you got to keep.
Yeah, and he's not getting like it's not like tackle end stunts and stuff. He's just beating tackles.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Speaking of undercover, what do you guys think of Eric Armstead in this game?
He played well.
Was great.
He played great.
He was great.
He had a whole bunch of, he had a whole bunch of the fuck the play up type plays. Like,
yeah, he did.
He's in the backfield and someone else is cleaning up for him. I thought he was everywhere. He was great. Grant, you pissed him off. That's what happened.
You did. It worked. It worked. You did it again.
No, he's on his stuff. And then the only person on defense who kind of struggled was Tavarius Moore. But at least didn't kill the defense. The defense was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with game ball is gonna be Kyle Shanahan on this.
I like that.
Because a lot of the times, even the biggest game of their franchise since the Ravens Super Bowl was against the Chiefs, obviously, and a lot of that was, why didn't he give Debo the ball in the fourth quarter on those end rounds? Like, why did he stop feeding him to that certain amount of volume? Kyle Shanahan did it all freaking game long. He just fed Debo. And I like seeing that confidence that he has in Debo Samuel and not saying, okay, let me try to give this guy a break. Because Debo had that slant that went for, 30-something yards. It zoomed right in on him, and he was gassed.
He's breathing heavy.
Yeah. Very next play, Shanahan gave it to Debo on the bubble screen. So he just kept feeding Debo, didn't let him let up and try to figure out other ways to win, like say try to have McKinnon do a wheel route or something. He said, nah, I'm gonna get
don't trick him. Yeah.
Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's best that college keeps it simple. Like sometimes he gets too cute with some of this shit. Like, listen, your quarterbacks can't make these throws.
Yep.
Keep it simple. The slants, the little screen passes, those little shuffle passes. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
I get scared every time Jimmy and Nick throws the ball past 5 fucking yards, and it's so annoying. But just keep it where it needs to be. I thought Debo had that last slant pass that he had. He boxed out Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
And shout out to our guys Jose. Those 3 Ravens defenders, they did a really good job. Rams defenders did a good job.
Oh yeah, all 3 of them.
All 3.
That was hella funny. Hey, 2 more names real quick. Robert Saleh. That guy has written the book on how to stop Sean McVay in this offense. You shut down Cooper Kupp, you shut down that offense, and the way you shut down Cooper Kupp is you get in his face and play man-to-man coverage and don't let him get free release because he's not fast and he's not
an outside receiver. He's not an outside guy.
So usually these slot receivers get free releases into the secondary. The Niners mug them, they take them out, and Robert Saleh. Wow, if you're playing the Rams, just watch what the Niners do. And then the other guy, he's not the MVP, but the Niners don't win without him. Kyle Juszczyk.
Yep.
They wouldn't win without converting that 4th and 1. It was the right call, but the Rams did a good job defending it. Juszczyk had a nice second effort. Even so, I'm not sure that he got the first down. It was really close.
Hey.
Great play.
Yeah, I'll take
one
it.
Guy,
I'll take
right.
it.
And one guy that I'll say is not, I don't want to give him a game ball too, but I'm super impressed, right? And we kind of were a little bit not nervous, but we were like, okay, he's coming back. How's it going to change the dynamic of this defense? But it's Richard Sherman. And good God, man, like I know that we talk all the time about Richard Sherman being smart, but there was something about this game that I felt like man, this guy's playing 4D chess while he's watching. And I think the play was where he was on the edge, right? And it's he has a man that he needs to cover, but he diagnosed the run so well that when Darrell Henderson touched the ball, he already took him out. Like, forget the interception was there, right? And that might be, I know a lot of people are trying to hint to, hey, look at him playing safety. That's a nice little thought. I'm not against that, but I think that play really was indicative. And then I don't know if you guys remember on 3rd down, this is a testament to Saleh too. On 3rd down, I believe it was the 2nd or 3rd drive for the Rams. He blitzed Richard Sherman off the edge.
It was the first drive. It was right off the bat. It was great.
Right.
It was the first pressure they brought. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And he was smart enough to disguise it, right? Because he takes a step back and then he played the snap count perfectly. Like they got the first down, but then eventually they got the fumble right after. But I was impressed with the way that it's like usually that's just a nickel corner. For you to have Sherm come off the edge like that, Robert Saleh's really dipping into his bag right now. And it's showing that he's trying to be versatile with what he's bringing.
Remember when they tried to fire Saleh after 2017? Like, imagine what happens when you have good players,
Yes.
Like, come on.
And the thing with Sherman is him and Verrett, they have so much respect. They command so much respect. Emmanuel Mosley's a solid corner,
Yes,
but
he is.
teams go after him. They're like, we'll see what you got this week. And we're going to go after you relentlessly. With Sherman and Verrett, like the most the Rams are willing to do were throw like 6-yard outs or curls. And when they did go deep, they got picked. So you kind of have a confidence watching this Niners defense with those two on the field. Like, well, I don't know how this team is going to throw the ball, but it's not going to be outside. They're going to have to like throw the ball through a lot of congestion over the middle, and good luck with that because the Niners have Fred Warner and Jimmy Ward over there.
Name recognition, man. Verrett and Sherman.
Name recognition.
It's like,
Yeah.
And they both have instincts as well. That's something they do is peeling off their man to go intercept the ball. That's something we've seen them both do now, not just sit in a zone and just, oh, okay, well, this ball's going to end up in my zone. Sherman actually peeled off that to get the interception. Yeah, it was a terrible overthrow, but still have the instincts of, okay, I'm going to peel it off and go on the 7 route and just have that interception land in his lap. That's something they both have, and they do really, really well compared to Mosley's probably the better athlete of the two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. Hey, I'm really sorry about Jamar Taylor, by the way.
That sucks, man. That sucks.
playing good ball.
To see him crying like that, man, it's just like you guys don't understand. Like people are so callous on Twitter, like towards players sometimes. I really hate it. You know, whatever your feelings are of the players, like these guys really go out there and they lay it all on the line. So like it was heartbreaking to see him get carted off like that. That's such a downer from that game, man.
Even a second or a third round pick, like he kind of had trouble in the league. He bounced around, and all of a sudden he was playing his ass off. Like
He's
he was
playing
playing well. And now you tear your ACL. You're almost 30 years old. You're a DB. Like you could see it in his face. Like, is this the last game I'm ever going to play?
Maybe.
Oh man, I felt awful for that guy. So
He played
Jamar,
well against the Rams twice.
congratulations, great season. You can go out with your head held high. You were
For sure.
a terrific NFL player.
Absolutely. And that's what I told him this morning because I didn't want to talk to him yesterday after something like that. You're already going to have your family and your friends that are basically family hitting you up, calling you. So I talked to him this morning because I knew some of those struggles he posted on Instagram about his journey through the NFL. So I've had that conversation with him to where he's not someone that's just a nickel corner. He's just getting stuck there in the NFL. His best years before this Niner season, I'd say this Niner season was probably his best year in the NFL. Before that,
absolutely.
And his rating given up was like 69, and he was killing it, dude. Yeah.
So once I saw that, like I had a little soft spot because I got a relationship with the guy to where it's like, damn, like I know his struggles and just see him playing at such a high level when everyone basically counted him out. When I talked to him last week, he was like, everyone's surprised but me. I was like, I know.
I love to hear that, dude. That's so cool. I wish. Well, at least he'll always have this. He balled out this season.
He played well.
He did.
Played really
He
well.
did. He really did.
As they always say, put it on
One
tape.
more thing, Emmanuel Mosley as the next man up.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna bring up, right? It's because it's like, okay, so the nickel corner goes down. Sorry, Jamar, like that's awful, right? But I was like, okay, so now are we just gonna force Mosley in there? And we did, and I mean, honestly, this is the way, right? Your best 3 corners are on the field now. Now you can go and do what you want to almost anybody, like at this point, right?
Your best 5 DBs are on the field.
Right.
You can
And
get
how many
creative with who you want covering who. You could bring Ward down. You could play Sherman at safety, and there were some snaps where they had Sherman at safety.
were they?
Allah has all kind of wrinkles he can go with here.
I'm confused, Grant, right? So all right. So we know PFF isn't the Bible, right? PFF had him, I think, not at like 1 snap at safety or something like that, and the rest were on the left. Yeah, and the rest were at left corner. The interception, he was guarding somebody. That was just a horrible throw by
They were in man coverage.
They were man. Yeah, he went back on that one. That's different. But I gotta watch it back. I think I couldn't really see on the broadcast or on the condensed version like where he would have been. So I gotta see that about where he was in safety.
Yeah. I was listening to Tim Ryan this morning. Tim Ryan said, well, obviously he would see the all 22 before we did, and he said he'd mentioned Sherman played safety a couple snaps. So I was like, okay, all right, let's. Yeah. And then the other part of that is you're at 6 DBs really when you put Marcel Harris on the field. So you're running 6 DBs and then Fred is the best hybrid linebacker in football. It's a good combination. It's good. Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach somewhere, Jacksonville or Detroit, one of the two, and he's gonna be good.
You think it's going to come down to Jacksonville and Detroit, and you think he's going to get it?
I think he was close last year. I
He
think
was
he'll get it this year. He was very close last year. I think he'll get it this year.
I think he probably couldn't believe that he didn't get it. I mean, after destroying Stefanski, I mean, you know, seven first downs. I think it was 7 first downs.
He embarrassed Stefanski.
Yeah. The
And
fact that
Stefanski
he
was
won-
like a decent hire. Like he's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's Salah going to be? Yeah.
the Browns chose after that game too, which made it even scratch your head even more.
Who do you think Salah's OC will be?
Mike LaFleur.
Because he's like they're like very close with the LaFleurs, right?
Yeah, I know McDaniels turned down the Eagles stuff last year. Eagles tried to hire him, and he said, "Nope, I'm staying here."
Would go with Salah, or do you think he'd stay with Shanahan?
I think McDaniel stays with Shanahan. I think LaFleur goes with Salah.
Interesting. Because McDaniel is the more highly regarded of the two, is he not?
He's like the brain. He's the run game brain. Yeah.
And what's LaFleur? The pass game brain? Is that? Yeah. All right.
Let me take that off your face real quick. Lost Jason.
What happened to Jason?
There it is.
Good to go.
Oh, his internet. Something happened with his internet. He'll be back in, he said.
The Wi-Fi.
All right. But where were we at? Mike McDaniel? Something?
Yeah, who's Salah going to take with him? I think he'll take LaFleur with him. I think McDaniel stays.
Yeah, that makes sense now that you bring up that name because Mike LaFleur and
That's the only question I have about Salah is who his OC will be. That's really, I mean, everything else about him seems legit. His leadership, his defensive acumen.
Well,
OC.
Depends. Shanahan might have to fill quite a bit of positions.
D'Amico Ryans is already still there.
Let him know you're available. Grant.
You don't think D'Amico would stay with Salah? Someone's going to go with him.
No, I don't think if the 49ers offer DC to D'Amico, I don't think there's a way you leave the 49ers with Fred Warner and all the Nick Bosa, and then you have Shanahan as your OC, who's ideally going to help you out on the defensive side.
Then it seems like they'll have to lose one of the two. Like if they make D'Amico the defensive coordinator, then Salah could offer Kosaric a defensive coordinator position with the Lions or wherever, and then you know they're going to lose one, I would imagine.
Would Kosaric want a DC though?
Yeah, would he not? Who would
I don't
not
know.
want-
There's been some reports that he just wants to stay a defensive line coach. He's more of like a Tom Sula. Like let's just focus on one thing.
Practice, he just yells at people and gets them. You know, I mean, he's good at what he does, but he's focused on making you get off the ball quickly. I don't know if he's a big picture guy. Like his view
That's
is
the Tom
like,
Sula thing. Like just stay
exactly.
right where we belong. Like Tom Sula's an excellent defensive line coach. Kosaric, excellent defensive line coach. I'd say keep him. But I would if I'm Kyle Shanahan and Salah's gonna get a job, I'm letting D'Amico Ryans call a couple of these games down the stretch.
Do you also think that Adam Peters might go with them to Detroit, considering no GM there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll text you.
Martin Mayhew,
Yeah.
former Lion. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. I don't know what he's looking for.
Well, for your game plan, obviously.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And also, he's in those meetings with you, isn't he?
Yeah, Martin. Yeah.
Okay.
Mayhew, that's what we call him.
Does this win indicate the 49ers are back in the playoff race? Are they, especially if there's 8 teams in the playoffs? I know they set out week 18 that may or may not happen. Depends. See if the Ravens even could play against the Steelers or if they could play a game after that, depending what's going on with their situation. So there's a likelihood, I would say probably a 51% chance of there being 8 teams in the playoffs. Regardless of that, for this case, let's stick with 7 teams. Are the 49ers back in the playoff race, or is just yesterday's win fool's gold?
I mean, they're in the playoff race mathematically, right? And then you start to look at the teams around them, right? You know, the Bears are horrible. They were just at 5-1. They're garbage. You know, and then they just dispatched the Rams, who there was rumblings this week of the Rams being the best team in the NFC, right? Like I literally just watched them toy with the Bucs on offense, not just like decimate them, toy with them, run the same play over and over. The Bucs had no plan, none of that, right? Then you start to go through the NFC, right? Who's really tough in this NFC that is really like super scary? Green Bay, Seattle, Arizona.
The Niners should have beat New Orleans, who are currently the number 1 seed. I mean, they were like a couple of just if they just caught the ball in special teams, they might have won that game. Or if they had Deebo Samuel, they might have won that game. So I don't know.
Here's what's crazy, right? We all applaud the 49ers defense this week, right? Yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They gave up less yards against the Saints. They played a better game against the Saints statistically on defense.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And then the Philly game looks worse now.
Yep.
You know, the Miami game we can kind of, whatever, because Miami's all right. Miami's not a bad team, but the Philly game that one hurts.
Deebo played and didn't get the ball very much. I understand he was just coming off an injury, but he was coming off an injury yesterday and he got 13 targets. The Niners weren't messing around. I mean, maybe that was the right call, not forcing it to Deebo week 4, but it's hard to win without Deebo. It's just, he is so important. My God.
Yeah.
Hard to win without him.
I'm sorry, Javi. I didn't mean to bring that
up.
You're
fine. It's so frustrating.
The Giants are undefeated since Dante Pettis showed up too. Also, coincidence? No.
Inactive every time.
Yeah, but it's the effect he has on the locker room with that.
Right. It's intangible, Javi. It's bigger than that. It's intangible.
TikTok.
No, but honestly, look, I'm looking at the conference standings right now. The Niners are currently 10th, but they're tied with Minnesota and Chicago. Chicago's dead in the water. They may not win another game. I mean, Minnesota's solid. Arizona's fading. Tampa's fading. The Rams are 7-4, but they're not that great. Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans aren't going anywhere. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that the Niners will make it to the playoffs, but I think they could absolutely.
Well, no doubt. How I look at it is, Josh Allen cannot play on Mondays or Tuesdays. It's good on Sundays, and also didn't something come down with his knee that he was wearing a full-on knee brace after the Chargers game there?
I don't know.
And I noticed during the game, I saw it somewhere on Twitter. He was wearing a full-on knee brace, but during the game, he was obviously playing without a knee brace. So that could limit his mobility playing against the 49ers. And I think something with that stadium may be serious with them just messing with somebody's ego. It happens. It starts with confidence as a pro athlete, whether it's baseball, football, or basketball. And then after that game, you got Washington. After that one, you get Dallas. So I think a 3-0 run is very realistic, and it just makes me feel bad for Zach Allen or bust.
Zach Allen.
Zach
Zach Wilson, my bad. Zach Wilson.
Because you go back to the Saints game, the Niners allowed a lot less yardage, and people were calling for Salah's head in that game. Like, what are you watching? Like, right. I'm so tired of Twitter. Sometimes it's just like, turn on the game and just watch without a biased eye and just watch. Like, Robert Saleh has been doing this for the last 3 years he's been here, or the last 4 years he's been here. He's been doing a great job. As far as the Niners being alive in the playoffs, yeah, they're alive, but who's the quarterback? It's Nick Mullins. At the end of the day, it comes down to the quarterback. Like yesterday's game, it's 20-20, and I got a tweet, Javi, what's the percentage you give the Niners to win this game? I said 20%. And he was like, why? I said, the quarterback. Can the quarterback make enough plays to win this game? Mullins made enough plays. He threw a couple good passes. He threw that one good pass to Deebo, and then the swing pass to Deebo, and then they get into field goal range. So, yes, you have a chance there, but can he do that consistently when you need him to? The Buffalo Bills, they have a guy who can run the ball, a quarterback. So it's going to make it a little bit harder on this defense to maneuver. Now, I don't trust Josh Allen to throw the ball down the field that well. Or accurately, excuse me. That's his issue, his accuracy.
Right.
But I don't know if they can beat the Buffalo Bills this week with Nick Mullins at quarterback. Now, is Jimmy Garoppolo back this week? Maybe. But I think they can go 2-1 the next 3 games. I mean, I don't fear the Washington football team, and I don't fear the Dallas Cowboys. Plus, we're all Niner fans here except for Grant, and we don't like the Cowboys. So
Grant is
hold on real quick. Let's not write them off. Let's not just give the Bills the win just yet.
No,
I'm not.
Nick Mullins does not breed a lot of confidence right now.
Yeah,
right.
But he won. He did make enough plays. He did throw a pick. It wasn't his fault.
That wasn't his fault. No.
He's not a franchise quarterback. Right. But on this team with that play caller, I think the Niners can compete with him. And as long as they have Deebo Samuel, they're going to have Deebo Samuel, Raheem Mostert, and Brandon Ayuk next week. I think they can win that game. I think they can really win it. And I think that if they do win it, think about they'll be 500.
Yes.
And then with 2 winnable games coming up.
Right.
I would feel a little bit more comfortable saying the Niners win this game if George Kittle played against the Buffalo Bills.
Of course.
The run game is non-existent because you can't get those edges. Because Trent is not fast enough to get out there. Ross Dwelly, I'm sorry, you can't block, and neither can Charlie Warner.
He had
the one block.
But that sealed the game. That helped seal the game.
Okay. Relax, guys. One is relax, guys.
Hey, it was right there on the last drive though, so I think that's why we're kind of
it was big. That was big. Rewatching the game.
I don't think Donald expected it. He was like, "Oh,
no,
wow." Ross, hey guys, I
down, not down.
Any emergency? I gotta run. Sorry about that. Take care, guys.
Okay.
I didn't hear what he said.
He said he had
family
to go.
emergency.
He has an emergency.
Well, I hope they're good with Grant then.
But this Bills game, I just don't. The run game is gonna have to be. It has to be big in this game. You have to get it going like this. What was it? 3.5 yards a carry yesterday.
Yeah.
The longest run after halftime was 5 yards or whatever it was. Like, you got to keep the ball away from this Bills offense because they can be explosive. But it does help to have Sherman back. It helps to have Brett healthy, and you're using Emmanuel Mosley in the slot. So I think they'll have a good chance. I just don't. If I'm looking at the next 3 games, I'm going to go 2-1. I think they can beat the Cowboys and they can beat the Washington football team.
Right. The thing is, too, is I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that Nick Mullins didn't play well, but made enough plays to win the game. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying both. Both can be true, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the interception that you guys brought up with Aaron Donald, right? Like, Debo was wide open on the slant. Like, I just watched that, like, play over, So, Aaron Donald, we expected him to make an impact in this game, and boy, did he in the second half.
He almost won the game.
Right. And I think what makes me more nervous is so the first time that they played the Rams, right, Raheem Mostert leaves the game and then the run game goes non-existent pretty much, right? Raheem Mostert was there this week and he had 1 yard, I think, in the second half or something like that. Something crazy. So that's concerning, right? Because once the Rams made their adjustments, they were taking away those edges because Raheem skated into the end zone when he did because they were beating him out there. But once they adjusted, I think that's a lot more concerning for me that they weren't able to get the running game going even with them. Now, 1 week back, okay, maybe next week they'll figure it out, right? And the Bills probably don't have a better defense than the Rams. Would I be wrong in saying that?
No, you wouldn't. No,
right. So Tre'Davious White is going to follow whoever he's going to follow. Fine, don't throw him the ball. But this shouldn't stop the 49ers from being able to do whatever it is they want to do on offense, right? So, this is a very winnable game right now, and it looks much more winnable after a win.
Well, I hate throwing out stats, but I'm going to throw out stats. I think the Bills defense is in the 20s for pass defense, and they're also in the 20s for run defense. They haven't been that good this year, and I know they've had 2 games against the Jets. They played against the Patriots, so they played against not so good offense. Their whole calendar hasn't been elite top 10 offenses to where you could cut a team a slack. But also with Tre'Davious White, like you said, he's going to be following Debo or Ayuk. What do the 49ers do a lot? It's pre-snap motion. So that means that Tre'Davious White is going to have to cross a lot of faces before the snap of the field, and he could get caught up in some friendly fire before that play even happens. So I think that's another thing to look out on. So, someone comment something?
I'm so tired of Matt.
Yeah, as am I. Matt, what are you doing? Whatever. What's that? Oh my God! So Leo, for reference, that picture, right? Before last night's game, Mitchell Trubisky tried to give an impassioned speech, rile the troops up, get the Bears ready for this game, and his defensive lineman, the guy behind him, is giving him the face like.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I think the Niners are. Man, this team gave me hope. That's the problem.
I hate it.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, and I would say I would probably be more concerned about the football team's matchup with their defensive line than the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Oliver, is more of a run stuffer.
I'm putting Chase Young on McGlinchey all game.
That's what they did with Donald at the end of that game. Like, they just moved him over to McKivitz and McGlinchey and were like, go get him, and I don't understand why anybody would ever not do that at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that makes it tough.
It's just like I said, the Cowboys, they don't scare me. Washington football team, they don't really strike too much fear into me. The Bills do, just because the quarterback is better than obviously Alex Smith is better than Nick Mullins, and I think we can say Andy Dalton's a step above Nick Mullins. So I'm always going to pick the better quarterback, but when it comes to the Washington football team as a whole, I think the Niners team as a whole is much better. And then of course the coaching staffs for the Dallas game, Kyle Shanahan and Mike McCarthy, aren't even in the same stratosphere. And then the Bills, I like Sean McDermott, but again, it just goes to the quarterback. The Niners have an issue with mobile quarterbacks, and Josh Allen can get loose on you. We'll see if they've made those type of adjustments. Maybe Marcel Harris being the Sam linebacker makes a big difference in that type of quarterback run game if they keep him in some type of base situations. Since when is Football Outsiders a paid subscription? I'm trying to find the DVOA numbers. What's going on,
dude?
Here?
I just found the DVOA numbers because I signed up for the 7-day free trial. I don't even know if they hit me and they're gonna be like, when's the time to pay? I might just take my credit card out off file.
That's us Latinos, I tell you. We always gotta find
it, man.
Stuff.
No, what I'll do is the Latino thing, right? All three of us are Latin, right? I'm just gonna make another email and just sign up again.
I'm gonna get like 6 emails and do this.
I've done that a few times. But I think it's fair because the Deebo Samuel and this 49ers offense is obviously NFC West playing against a AFC East team in the Bills. They don't really crossfire too much. So I think there is some things there to be positive on matching up against the Bills. But since we're in that subject of how Deebo could be impactful against the Bills as far as enhancing the run game, is Deebo the MVP of the offense?
This year he is.
Yeah, absolutely. No question.
I don't see how it can be a discussion because we talked about it last week, right? When Deebo's there, all of a sudden, all of these, these throws behind the line are there. When he's not there,
he won both Rams games,
right? And when he's not there, all that goes out the window. Like you can literally not function with any sort of passing offense without Deebo Samuel on there. Like it's so weird. So it's got to be him at this point. He touched the ball so much. Everybody knew that it was going to be like after a certain point when you get 5, 6, 7 touches the same way. Like here's a new Niners drinking game. Watch yesterday's game and take a shot every time they use jet motion. They didn't even have to give Deebo the ball. Like just take a look at how many times they sent the guy across so they could run the mesh point and bring it back. Yeah, like
around the quarterback.
Yep. 3 straight plays. One was Deebo, one was Kendrick Bourne, and one was Juice. You're not going to make it to the third drive by the time that happens. So Deebo Samuel gives another element of surprise because you have to watch for that damn sweep. And the Rams were really good with it with Robert Woods, but that wasn't all the way there for them this entire game. Like they ran it maybe 2 or 3 times and they had success with it, but it wasn't there for them the same way that the 49ers are. The same exact thing that they do with Robert Woods is exactly what they do with Deebo Samuel. And it's clear that this offense needs to run through him a lot more, man. Like when he touches the ball, he demands that you bring 2 and 3 people to tackle him. You're never going to have one person who brings Deebo Samuel down. No. It's not going to happen.
And, that says a lot more about the quarterback situation in San Francisco, too, because you can't operate without this stuff behind the line of scrimmage or the threat of these sweeps and these things like that. So, it's Deebo's got to be the MVP of this team right now. We'll see what happens with Brandon Ayuk when he comes back, and maybe if Jimmy comes back and see how they end the season. But Deebo is by far the MVP of this offense. He single-handedly won the Rams games twice. He was a major part of the Patriots game. Those are the 3 games he played, right? Yeah. 3 wins. You have Deebo, you win. And, guys who need to step up or the, KB. I think KB's playing fine, but you need to see more out of your running backs, and they need to figure that out. And then, of course, the right side of the offensive line's got to figure it out. And part of me doesn't want to put all that blame on the offensive line. I think when you don't have a quarterback that's going to threaten every level of the field, you're going to see a lot more 8-man fronts, 9-man fronts, and dare you to throw. So that's why you're going to see this offensive line look poor. I don't think that they are poor. I think they just look poor because of the amount of pressure they're seeing. Because, I don't know why these teams aren't just sending the house every time, because they know Nick's not going to beat you deep. They know Jimmy's not going to beat you deep. That should be the game plan. I can get paid to do that. Like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. And Kyle, there's no way Kyle can scheme around that. That's where I'm at with him.
Right, and that's the thing too, right? It's like you said, the whole dropping back thing. Like that's not how the 49ers are going to win with either quarterback, right? Completely dropping back, But there was throws to be had, man, down the field, man. Like
so
Nick knows
many.
Nick knows he missed them. Nick knows he missed him. You saw Jordan Reed get hype after he didn't get he was wide open. That was it. Even on the first drive when he tried to hit Jordan Reed, it was just a bad throw, right? So like I said, there's a world where you can say Nick Mullins was bad yesterday, but he made enough plays to win, right? Mm-hmm. Now, can you depend on that sort of quarterback play every week? No, Nick Mullins has to be better for this team to even be in the contention of running into a playoff spot. Like, he can't play against the Bills the way he did this week. He can't. He just can't.
No. Yeah, absolutely. I would say it for that reason this year as well, because if the offense isn't built horizontally, they're not going to win. That's just not trying to be, bad guy or say be Mr. Negative, but it's the truth. It's and it comes down to the quarterback. It doesn't come down to the wide receivers, the tight ends, or even the offensive line. You got to manage a horizontal offense in order for this to happen. And Deebo Samuel's great in a horizontal offense. It's obvious. So they just gotta keep that going. Deebo Samuel is maybe having so much horizontal could open up a little more vertically. I know there were some shots in the game vertically yesterday, but you got to go like 20 horizontal to 1 vertical play in a game. And if you're doing 20 plays horizontal, well, Deebo Samuel's the best piece for that. George Kittle's not really meant for end arounds, even though he's a great athlete. Brandon Ayuk is great on end arounds, but he's not as good as Deebo Samuel. Nobody in the league is as good as Deebo Samuel on that, because Brandon Ayuk is more of a finesse, yards after the catch receiver, or yak, whatever. And where Deebo, he'll just run you over, break three tackles at the same damn time in order to make things happen. So Deebo's just perfect for that. So that's where he's the best piece for this offense, basically, with Nick Mullins or one ankle Jimmy at quarterback.
Look, I don't want to sound mean, negative in any way, but watching Deebo Samuel be relegated to being like a gadget player really kind of, he bothers me. He's so much more than that, right? Like, Deebo can run routes.
Yep.
Like real routes. Like,
that's slant God, bro.
Right. Like, and like, we watched it in week 17, right? It didn't matter who it was that was on him, right? And it wasn't all just slants. Like, Trey Flowers, you were getting killed everywhere. Like, I hate the idea that Deebo Samuel has to be this sort of guy who has to run all these gadget plays. Yes, he can execute them, but my goodness, is he so much more. And that's and that boils down to quarterback play at the end of the day, whether it's Jimmy or whether it's Nick.
We have 2 1,000-yard receivers on this roster right now.
Absolutely.
And a 1,000-yard tight end.
Yeah.
We need a quarterback. I'm tired of talking about it. Like, we need a quarterback.
Josh Johnson? He's mobile.
No, Josh Johnson's there so he can play Josh Allen for this week.
I mean, that makes sense. That does make sense.
If you bring him to play in this game, you're pretty much telling everybody this is it. Like, we're done here. Like, like, this is where we're going for the season. So, it's just I fear that Deebo isn't being used the right way, or the way that he really can be.
It's not even a fear. He's not being used the right way.
Right.
Like, he's being used to like half his potential because he's how limited our quarterbacks are. That's what it is. You have Deebo can route you up. We saw it plenty of times last year when this offense was clicking. And Jimmy executed well enough, but a lot of times he was throwing behind, late, or high on these routes. It's like Deebo's winning these things.
Right.
And I look for Kyle Shanahan every week on the sideline doing this, putting his arms. He did it twice this game. The one to Jordan Reed down the sideline where he nearly gets picked off, and then I think it was the other one the one to KB where he kind of threw it behind him or whatever it was. It's just like, come on, man! Like, we have weapons. The first time we've got weapons since T.O. We just don't have the quarterback. Like, fuck, put Jeff Garcia in there. Jesus Christ.
Right. See, that's the thing, right? So if a throw's a little off, right, or if there's a good defender there, it's like, okay. But he's missing these throws horribly. Like, it looked like I threw it. Like, that's not what you're looking for. Like, you have to get the ball at least in a place where your receiver can make a play. You can't throw it at the back ankle when he's going up with his arm up here. Like, those were some of the throws that we see. And why wouldn't Kyle Shanahan be frustrated, man? I did like what Kyle said after the game though with Nick. You know, he said that he
Can
was
anyone
tough.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. He said that he was tough.
Anyone?
Oh, he's not there no more.
Anyone? What the?
I can hear you, Javi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. We're still here, Leo. Like Mike.
Got it. Perfect.
Got it? All
Can
right.
you hear me? All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell just happened right there. Cool. I'm glad I didn't go off on a rant since everyone was able to hear me still.
Yeah.
But since we touched on this a little bit, is there any more you want to say as far as could a horizontal offense upset Buffalo?
Buffalo, yeah, it could. Yeah, I just don't like. Edmonds is a good linebacker. I just don't think he has the range like Fred Warner does. Their safety play is okay. They're not great either. They're not really great at any level. They're just like as a unit, they're pretty good.
Right.
And they've got pieces, right? Tre'Davious White is a top corner in the league, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know,
and Oliver on the D line.
And Oliver's
Like,
great. You know, they've got play. They like it's just like Javi said. They've got pieces, right? But as far as the sum of it, right? Like I think everybody walked into the season expecting Buffalo to have a great defense, right? And they were going to kind of pound the ball with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, not really working out that way. And one more thing about Buffalo, Josh Allen's play has.
He went from MVP to just
Right.
middle of the road.
Josh Allen.
Right. It was like, man, he's about to win the MVP, and then everybody's like, oh, there's Josh Allen, right? So that's another thing, right? Like I could, if I wanted to, I could be petty and do a 10-minute cut up of Josh Allen sailing balls over receivers' heads, like right in front of him. So that's always going to be there for the 49ers to take advantage of, right? You know, we all said that if they got a defensive score against the Rams, they win. I think that applies any week. And it should apply in a week when a quarterback is as loose with the ball as Josh Allen is.
And then with the Bills, though, the Bills they're not the greatest with the ball past 20 yards on defense. The problem is neither are our quarterbacks. So it's like we have to be able to. This goes back to the horizontal thing. Yes, we can stretch them horizontally. When you do that, you're stretching that defense horizontally. You're allowing more vertical shots to happen. The problem is our quarterbacks can't make those shots happen consistently. Can they do it once or twice in the game? Sure. But if we need to have 3, 4, 5 of them, I don't know that we can do that. Man, part of me will say yes, we can beat them. And I think John Brown is out again. So
well, he didn't play this week. It's so crazy how he didn't play this week because they just had a bye. So he came out of the bye and still wasn't able to play. So I mean, John Brown's the one that really scares me too on this defense, right? So look, Stephon Diggs, you're probably not going to find a bigger fan than me, right? I believe that man is top 3 in route running. Route running. Listen to what I said. Route running, right? Yeah. Like he can beat anybody, right? But he's not exactly a deep guy. Smokey Brown has a great is underrated as a route runner, but can go deep, and that's what kind of scares me, right? But the problem is Josh Allen can't get it to him, right? Like so it's going to be tough if they're both there. And Cole Beasley is no slouch either, right? So this wide receiver group that they have is actually really, really solid when they're all healthy. Gabriel Davis is really good too. He had a good game last week in place of John Brown too. So, they're not as good at running the ball outside of Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen's their goal line back, and then he's still their leading rusher, right? At this point, like is it him? Yeah, because it can't be Singletary. He's barely on the field, and Zach Moss is used in the red zone only. Like he's not used between the 20s. So I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. I have to dip into at least the last few weeks what they've been doing. Mosley locked down Stephon Diggs coming off the bench. Yeah, he did. You know what else locked it down was the fact that we were pass rushing and getting on Kirk Cousins too. That really helps as well too. But yeah, I mean, Mosley can.
Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, same thing.
Sure.
But the other thing here is the Chargers play similar defense that the Niners do. So Josh Allen struggled yesterday. He was his completion percentage was high. He was 18 for 24, but for only 157 yards. So Diggs and those guys didn't get to go off. And I like Sherman and Verrett and Mosley a lot better than Casey Hayward and the other guys that are in LA.
Right.
So I like our defensive chances against this team. I'm talking myself into a win here. I think
you are. I think you're just walking yourself right into it. Like you're about to call a score in a second.
If Jimmy Garoppolo would be playing this game, I would feel much better about it.
No, it's true.
I see what you
I think we all do.
Call the score?
Call the fight?
Call the score? Wow. How much longer is this going to go on? Is this going to be on the rest of the season? Is this what we're doing all
The next
year?
4 years at least, yeah.
Yeah, and Casey Hayward has been getting beat deep all season long. And it's shocking because he's been a Pro Bowl corner, but for this season alone, he's been beaten deep all season long. So that helps. That's how the Bills manufacture points, is with the deep ball. Look what they did against the Rams when they put up so many points against them. They did it against the Seahawks when they put up so many points against them. And that's something that the 49ers don't do with Barrett, Sherman. Now Moore is going to give you a hell of a lot more range than having Harrison, as well as Jimmy Ward. I think I already said him.
I gotta check that Rams Bills game, because I want to see what the Rams were doing that got them back into the game. Was it that the Bills just gave up on defense, or did they switch things up? Because, obviously the Rams and the 49ers offense are similar, very close. I just want to see what they did. What did they do that changed it up? Because they were down bad in that game, really bad, and they nearly won that game. So if I could see something on the Rams and what they did, then the 49ers will probably see that too and try to use it from the jump, no matter what it was.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I think the Rams woke up in that. They kind of woke up a little. They were on that 10 a.m. clock. They had traveled to the East Coast like 4 times before that, so they had done a lot of travel. So that was part of it. And they kind of woke up in that second half. I got to look at it too. I only watched the red zone stuff on that game, so I'm gonna have to rewatch it and see.
Yeah.
So since we were talking on the 49ers defense a little bit before we got into Jared Goff, well, we're gonna get into both. Is yesterday's game show more or tell more about the 49ers defense, or does it tell more and show more about Jared Goff?
Both. It's both. Yeah, it's both. I mean, it is. I mean, honestly, man, this defense, right? We just talked about it. In the Saints game, they gave up less yards than they did in this game, right? And I tweeted it out earlier. The 49ers allowed about 128 rushing yards. 61 came on one rush. 61. So that means 60 yards on all the other runs, including those Robert Woods handoffs. It's both, man. Robert Saleh is, obviously we can sing his praises until the cows come home, right? But Jared Goff, man, like we were just talking about it before we jumped on. You don't even have to be near him to get him nervous.
Correct.
Like, and you know what's crazy? And maybe this is me. You guys can maybe tell me what it is that I'm missing. I expect this 49ers team to be hit with bootleg after bootleg after bootleg. There was 2 of them, and the one that they ran was a deep shot to Robert Woods. They've been running it against everyone else with 3 levels, with sneaking guys on the backside. Where did that go in this game? Not that I care, right? The 49ers won, but I was expecting them to do that and get Goff some easy throws, but you continue to let him sit in the pocket, and as soon as he sniffs that pressure, he's erratic, and that's it. I don't get it, man. I really don't get it.
So you look back at last year's 2 games. The first one, they made him stand in the pocket, be statue, then let him roll out. Niners completely dominate that game. The second game in December, we all know the Jimmy Garoppolo 3rd and 16s and stuff, but the rollouts were there early on in that game. The Niners had to come back and win that game. If it wasn't for Fred Warner sparking the comeback, we'd probably lose that game. Yep. And I don't know what it is with McVay. I think he either outsmarted himself, or Robert Saleh's in his head and Kyle Shanahan's in his head. Like, I gotta try some new things. And, I think Kyle and Sean get too cute sometimes too. And they think, oh, I'm going to run it the way I want to run it, straight up, and we'll win a certain way. No, you have to utilize the things that the Niners don't do well with. And that's a quarterback off his spot. So, I mean, I'm not mad that they didn't do it, but it's just like, what are we doing here?
Right.
And the thing with Goff, though, I've never been impressed with Jared Goff ever. Yes, they won a lot of games, but I think he's just a middle of the road quarterback. He's good enough to win you games. He's not going to be the reason you won. He's just going to be the guy like on the ride. Like, okay, cool. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, go ahead and secure the defense. When they had Todd Gurley, we're going to give you the ball 25 times a game and you're going to score 3 touchdowns. And then we're going to do these slants all day to Woods and Kupp and run these jet sweeps and do, similar to what the Niners had done with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think those 2 quarterbacks are basically in the same discussion. But I'm going to give the Niners defense a little bit more credit here than that, because they're playing shorthanded. They don't have their Bosa. They don't have they're with Greenlaw, who's also a really good linebacker, but they're playing a safety at Sam linebacker. They're not, Sherman's first game back. They don't even have K1 out there, so they're playing a little shorthanded, and Tart's not there. So I'll give a little bit more credit to the Niners defense this week.
See, but all these injuries might be a blessing, right? Because when you're forced to think more, you know, I mean, all right. Look, I'm not trying to discredit anybody, right? But as a defensive coordinator, right, Nick Bosa, go get him. And then that's it. You know, the rest of the stuff kind of takes care of itself. But now that you don't have that anymore, you have to start to get creative. And that's really where I'm at with Robert Saleh, man, at this point, man. Like having the, you know, I hate guys that get stuck into whatever it is that they want to do. And they're just like, I don't care. I'm going to bang my head against this wall until it works. And, you know, and that's what I think sometimes Sean McVay runs into.
He does it all the time.
Right. Like he's just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not changing this. Right. And this is what we thought about the Super Bowl. Right. So the shine was off of him last year because they were like, man, no in-game adjustments, blah, blah, blah. It's so strange because I saw a team that was in their bag completely on offense the last few weeks, right? And this is why, you know, look, I got egg on my face. I picked the Rams to win this game. I did, you know, because I just saw a team at a different part of where they – so, like, everybody expected this game to be a rerun of what happened with the Rams. That Rams offense isn't the same Rams offense coming into this game. They were ascending, like looking a lot better. But I don't know what the hell happened. Like, so is it the defense for sure? But also Jared Goff was gross, man. And the thing that I was saying about going into this game was that there's no way Jared Goff could play as bad as he did in week one. That first meeting, I think he did, like completely.
He played worse.
Yeah.
His passing chart was gross. I looked at his passing chart. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's you know, and then just watching it now, like I said, they called that rollout. They hit Woods. Everything was just short. Like they weren't trying to do anything, you know, between the numbers and in the seams, anything like that. So I don't know, man. Like it's really weird. And again, somebody put out a good tweet. I thought it was really funny. They said, like, this is why you need to watch all 22 because then you can learn 1.8% of what's actually happening on the field. So I think that's what I want to watch because maybe I'll see something else, you know, that maybe I could point to. But, you know, it also helps when you have two boundary receivers, you know, your two outside receiver, your outside corners playing as well as they were with Verrett and Sherman this week. And
they didn't play that boundary and field bullshit. They played
left and
right. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the defense is the real deal too. That it wasn't just Jared Goff because if I remember correctly, he had more off throws the first matchup. He was completely terrible on his accuracy in that one. He had some throws in this one as well, but I don't think it was to the amount as the first matchup. Right. And also it's how they won. It's Kevin Givens creating pressure. Kinlaw getting a pick six. Fred Warner obviously doing what he does. Sherman playing smart football. Verrett playing smart football. Jimmy Ward balling out. So I think they were playing sound football. Obviously, a better version of Jared Goff would have gave them a better chance to win. But it's how they won and how they executed on defense. It's a lot of that sometimes where he sees ghosts is because of what Kerry Hyder's doing around the edge to where he may feel a little pressure coming, so he lets the ball out a little sooner. And then Eric Armstead was fantastic against the runs yesterday as well. So I think it was an all-around from all three levels of the defense, not just one group collecting, like you said, Jason, with Nick Bosa out on the field. It wasn't just one group yesterday. It was all three levels. And I think that's where I am confident in this team making a push because I didn't see them continuing to play at such a high level at this point.
Right. And I know everybody wants draft capital, right? They want their draft position and everything, right? But a win like this signifies the culture. And I think that's what's kind of important about this. And it would be a little bit short-sighted to just say, oh, well, they just screwed themselves out of draft position. No, you want to be able to have those guys in your building understand that no matter who's there, you're expected to go out there and win. And you're expected to find ways to win. Good teams do that. Great teams do that. Good teams with cultures that are built over years do that. And it would be really bad for this team to go into its shell and all of a sudden have one of those bad losing seasons that Kyle had before the reinforcements showed up. So I think it was really important to get this win and to let people know that, you know, no matter what, the 49ers may be looking at a quarterback, you know, most likely in the draft, but they're not going away. And I'm not going to say that they're still here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're still here. I had to throw it in there, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not as down as Kyle Trask as some other people, maybe Javi. But to move on. Well, yeah, he's no Zach Wilson. So That's fair. That's fair.
Right.
But as far as someone who's balling out of his mind, and Grant, who was on earlier, stated this during the offseason, during those 28 days that they were able to practice to get ready. It's Kevin Givens is balling out there.
Penn State.
Showing that to the season. I think it has something to do with Penn State. So does he make DJ Jones expendable? I asked this question because DJ Jones was one of the players I said that the 49ers should extend now before the season, because he could play himself into a bigger contract and to where you're not going to be able to afford that contract. And to where, since Kevin Givens is playing at such a high level, is he someone that could be a starter on this team, to where if a team offers DJ Jones $6 million, $5 million, even $4.5 million, you may not want to match it?
I think you bring DJ Jones back. I don't think he's expendable to Kevin Givens. I think you want Kevin Givens as your ninth guy on your defensive line, in that rotation. You want him to be the guy who's going to spell for Kinlaw, spell for DJ Jones. You want at least a rotation there. The problem with the Niners, I think, is they have so many guys that are similar, in stature and in type. So to have a Kevin Givens and a DJ Jones, that is what you want. You want to have a rotation of those guys. Kinlaw and Armstead, those two. Kinlaw and Armstead and 3 technique kind of do the same thing.
Right.
Then, of course, you're going to need another edge rusher at some point. Kerry Hyder, Bosa, Ronnie Blair. Go find another edge rusher. So I think you want to have a redundant piece, but not too much redundancy across the entire line. So DJ Jones and Kevin Givens should both be back. I just, and it just goes back to that undrafted free agent mentality. Those guys, they work a little bit harder. They try a little bit harder and to make sure they earn every rep, and that they show out when they can. I think, I watch a lot of Penn State football. That's my college team. I enjoy watching. I thought Kevin Givens was going to be a late round pick. He went undrafted, and I was happy the Niners grabbed him because he's a player, and you can see it. He's not gonna get you 8-9 sacks, but he's gonna get you some pressures. He's gonna get you maybe 2 or 3 sacks in a season. Is what you want in a defensive tackle, nose tackle. That's the kind of guy you want. Run stuffer, guy's gonna get enough pressure on the inside, who plays really smart. I'd keep him around. I would keep both of them around.
Yeah, I'm lock in step with Javi. Like, he literally took the words out of my mouth. Like, you need to have a rotation. You need to have those guys, fresh and everything as well too. While we're talking about, this defense and the coaching, right? So we've heaped praise on Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan for this week. But man, Chris Kasarik, man, he's doing a hell of a job. And how much of Kerry Hyder joined because of Kasarik, right? Like, Kerry Hyder pulled up because of that, right? He's getting Kerry Hyder a bag. Like, he's also teaching these guys about, staying in your lanes. Like the wide 9, this defense is better right now against the run probably this year than they were last year. Would you say that's off?
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
That's crazy, right? Like, all things considered, right? Moving Quan, losing Bosa, losing Ford, losing Buckner, right? And then replacing him with Kinlaw. And this defense is somehow better against the run than they were last year. It's Kasarik and Saleh deserve as much credit as they can take at this point.
I think they're better against the run because they're not getting behind the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they're pass rushing, they're so far behind the quarterback or around the quarterback that it opens up these lanes. Since they're not winning so fast, like Bosa would win fast, Ford win fast. Same thing with Defoe, win fast. Yes, James Franklin sucks. Get him out of there in Penn State. And to answer David Yang's question, Hyder or Blair, I think you try to keep both. Blair hasn't played all season. I'm pretty sure he comes back cheap, and you keep Hyder there as well. So you have to keep him going. But I would, I think when you're the way the run defense is playing this year, a lot of that has to do because there is no Bosa. And of course, I would always rather have Bosa. But since those guys win so fast, it opens up lanes in the run game, and these guys can get in and out. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not
good point.
Not saying it's true, but I think that could be part of it.
It's probably true. I mean, that is a really good point. All gas, no brakes, right? And we've been yelling about that too with like losing contain because you're just like go that way, I understand. So I mean, that's a really good point.
Yeah. I would say he makes him expendable to the point you're not going to match his contract. If a team offers $5 million.
Okay.
So
That's
if
fair.
a team offers $5 million, they're probably not going to match it because you have Kevin Givens. And they like what they see in Darian Daniels. They may see him as the future backup to Kevin Givens. But would I personally want DJ Jones around? Hell yeah, I would. The dude's a baller. No one really expected much out of him as a 5th round pick. So hell yeah, I would want him around. But when
His dad sends me barbecue sauce.
Yo, how is that?
The sauce is delicious, by the way. It's
Wow,
amazing.
I need to get some.
if I got some barbecue sauce, I would say exactly why the 49ers should pay him $7.5 million to be on this team next year. If I could
Make it happen. No, we know a guy that can make it happen. Tell the quality control coach, and he'll make it happen.
Well, but just for that reason, I look at it as more as a franchise move to where you have a guy like Kevin Givens is playing so great. God bless you.
He's back. He's back. We just
Prodigal
saw all I
son
had to say.
returns.
All I had to say was quality control coach, and you're back.
Hey,
He did say quality control.
that's hella funny.
So what we were talking about is, does Kevin Givens make DJ Jones expendable? Because if a team out there goes and says, hey, DJ Jones, you're a one technique, but we want to pay you $5 million, does the 40 or will the 49ers really want to match that with the level that Kevin Givens is playing? They like what they see in Darian Daniels as a future backup at that one tech position. So the way he's playing, because I feel like if Kevin Givens wasn't playing at this level, they would have said, all right, we got to match. I'm just throwing out a random number based on what that market probably would be. So it's a guesstimate. If Kevin Givens wasn't playing at this level, I absolutely think 49ers would say, all right, $5 million for DJ Jones. That's something we're going to have to eat up because it's going to kill us on defense, especially against the run.
Yeah, now I think what they're going to do when they go to the negotiation with DJ Jones is basically, thanks, have a good one. We like you, but if you have another offer, congratulations, take it. I don't think they can really afford to be giving money to DJ Jones. They may not even be able to afford Kyle Juszczyk. So, yeah, Kevin Givens makes him expendable. Good luck, DJ. He should have a good career somewhere.
Yeah, he should. Like I said, what you missed out on is
we all know what fixes the cap issue. We all know what it is. But.
Oh. No, even when they do cut Jimmy, and they're gonna cut Jimmy, they'll get rid of Jimmy, whatever it's gonna
Oh my God, he just said it.
And we know that's gonna happen. But doesn't a lot of that money go to Fred Warner and Trent Williams? How much do they pay?
All of it goes to those two.
All of it to them. So I don't know what they're gonna do.
DJ Jones might get paid like DJ Reader.
What did
How much
DJ
did he sign for?
Google.
How much did he sign for? I don't remember off the top of my head because I don't
either
care about DJ Reader.
DJ Reader got a $53 million 4-year contract.
Jeez.
Cool. But yeah, like I said, if I got barbecue sauce from DJ Jones's dad, I'll make the case why the 49ers should give him that DJ or that Reader contract. But if I don't have any barbecue sauce, I can't make that case of why he should make $10 million a year.
I will email them for you. I got you.
He's never played more than 11 games in a season. He's never had more than 2 sacks in a season. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's a rotational guy. Like we talked about it. He's a rotational guy, right? Like, and you can't pay those guys too much money. It's nice to have, but if he's, like you said, if he's gonna get money somewhere else, I'm always with the players. It don't matter. Go get your money, man. If somebody's gonna pay you.
Yeah, go get it. He should get it.
He's a hell of a player. He's just in a position to where it's not really valued that much to this 49ers team because how they got to the Super Bowl last year and how they were so dominant wasn't because of DJ Jones' pass rush skills. And I think that this offseason they are going to be focused on getting back to that level of dominating the quarterback with pressures.
And I think we won't see this kind of injury issue next year either. This is an odd year. You know, you'll see next year Bosa will be back. You got Kinlaw, Armstead, and then Hyder, hopefully, or Blair as your other edge guy. Your rotation's off. So where does DJ fit in there? Where does Kevin Givens come in? Where does
Contavious Street,
who's playing really well? Like there's, I guess you can say he kind of is expendable, but I would try to keep DJ Jones. I think he's a good player. I like him. I don't think he priced himself out. Yeah, Darian Daniels another guy like that in Nebraska. So
yeah,
it's a good problem to have. You know, there's never a problem to have. there's never an issue with, man, we have too many guys that are solid. No,
No.
but again, you got to make sure that it has to work within the constructs of the team. Like you can't overpay a guy just because you like the rotation. Like you can't do that. So
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm keeping him. I'm going to try to keep him. I would try to keep him.
Yeah, I would try to keep him, but I like the way the Niners tried to keep Emmanuel Sanders. Like you have to cap it at a certain number. Be like, well, we're not going to do more than this, even though we like you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like Jason said, it's a great problem to have. My San Francisco Giants, they have a bunch of problems and a bunch of holes. They're not in that position like 49ers are right now.
Imagine being a Yankees fan, bro. It's so tough right now.
Oh, yeah, so hard. Home run
you know what's tough is being a Yankee fan on 49ers Twitter, because everybody across the world hates the Yankees, and I forget. And I live in this bubble here in Jersey, like where it's all Yankees and it's like nobody else.
At least
those games when I was in high school, there would be random F the Yankees chants when they were playing like the Blue Jays. Like it'd just be like a Wednesday night against whoever, the Rangers, and people be like, F the Yankees.
Rent free, baby. Rent free.
Got to.
That happens to me all the time. The stadium I go to, I'm like, who do you like? Like your team probably is worse. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Who do you like?
Yeah, who's your team? They stink.
Yeah. Tom Compton's of the MLB.
Him. Why did you like you do that on purpose, Leo? You do that on purpose.
A little bit. Still waiting to make a shirt straight out of Tom Compton. But
hey, Leo, how do you get that little ticker at the bottom?
You just click on the
banners.
banners.
It's in banners. It's on banners.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It has a little thing that says scroll.
Hold on, wait a minute, Grant. You pay $800 a month for StreamYard.
I know. $800.
You hit their customer service line more than anybody. How do you not know these things?
I don't know. I'm really not technologically savvy. And Leo, every time Leo does something, I'm like, wow, that was great. That's nice. All right, Leo, good stuff. Thanks.
So I wanted to talk about this because of how the defense, the secondary especially, has looked all season long, besides Brian being out there on the field, when they had usually at least Verrett and Mosley as your corners, or Sherman and Verrett at corners, or Sherman and Mosley at corner. Jesus, it's carousel. But when they had competent corners, we'll go with that. This defense has looked great against the pass. So who would you rather take? Keep this in mind, that 2011 49ers team, they had hell of a defensive line as well. This 2020 secondary does not have that at the moment. They have some great players, great pieces, but they don't have the 2011 offensive line. So would you rather take that 2011 secondary? Remember, it was Carlos Rogers, Dante Whitner,
Goldson, Brown.
Goldson and Terrell Brown.
They had those guys compared to whichever you are higher on with the safeties, whether it's Tarvarius Moore, Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tart, Sherman, Verrett, Mosley, and of course, Jamar Taylor.
Give me the 2020 secondary. Here's why. That 2011 secondary, right? As soon as the pass rush went away, that secondary got torched.
Yes, it did.
Like it was a rough. Remember those playoff runs. Like in 20, I think it was 2012. 49ers gave up like 30 points per. The only reason that they won is because, right? That's what I'm saying. The only reason they won is because Cap was keeping them and Gore was keeping them in the game. Right. With this 2020 secondary, they haven't had any semblance of a consistent pass rush. And
other
I don't
than
even
Terry
think
Hyder.
Right. But I don't even think it's crazy to say that Jason Verrett is better than Carlos Rogers and Terrell Brown, and so is Sherman.
Yes.
So I gotta lean the 2020 secondary here.
I agree. Who was the nickelback on that team? It was Carlos Rogers, and they'd bring in Chris Culliver. Chris Culliver kind of stunk too.
Chris Culliver and Terrell Brown and Goldson. Like Goldson was a hitter, but he would lose people behind him. Like all those issues and stuff. With this secondary, they can do more with less pass rush. I feel like.
I think that's the difference. What do you think, Javi?
I think. Can I just add Whitner to the 2020 defense, and then just take out Tavarius Moore, like Jimmy Ward, Dante Whitner, and then you got Sherman Verrett. Like that'd be great. Ideal.
Yeah.
Whitner
pretty good. They don't have a hitter like that.
What?
No, not that. We need a hitter like that. Is what they're saying.
Oh We need somebody like that. I think if you put Dante Whitner on this team, that secondary is lights out. But if I had to choose, I agree with Jason. 2020, they're doing it with less on the pass rush front. They're hanging in there the best they can. You know, outside of the Devonta Adams bomb on Thursday Night Football, they've been pretty stout. So I think 2020 is the better secondary right now.
Yeah, I brought up this question because
Brian Allen's not playing, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So you guys know who's wearing 48, right? Because Brian Allen was wearing it earlier. Austin Walter's wearing it. Can we get that out of rotation? I get like PTSD. I saw Austin Walter's
the worst number you could possibly get.
Right, I'm like 48. I'm like, oh my god, he's back.
Fred Warner looked good in 48.
He did.
Who did?
That was
Fred?
it. Once he left 48 was trash after that.
Oh yeah, good point.
They should have just retired it.
It looks better on a linebacker than on a DB.
Absolutely.
I still remember
Fred.
Baldinger was talking about Fred Warner. That's your Mike
Fred.
linebacker.
Yeah,
Fred.
week 1, right?
Yeah.
2018. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, man, it's going a little overboard there, Baldy. But no, he's right.
Yeah,
He was
that's
right.
your Mike linebacker
right.
future.
Yeah.
Move over Reuben Foster. But
Well, get out of here, Reuben Foster.
Yeah. Hey, he's been
The
he's
hell
been
outta here.
on that. I was trying to find the defensive stats for that 2011 team because passing was fantastic. It's really hard.
The way I just remember the 2011 team was it was a great defense, really at all 3 levels, but it had the best front 7 in the league.
Easily.
Their front 7 was so good that they didn't ever have to play 8 in the box.
Cheat code. They had 5 linebackers that they could
Right,
run
yeah.
out there.
And what was it? How many games was it in a row that they never gave up a 100-yard rusher? Like
Whole
that's
season.
like
16.
Yeah.
that's impossible right now to do. Impossible.
I think Marshawn Lynch got him at the very end on Christmas Day, but that was
He
the
got
only one.
Yeah, a rushing touchdown. That was
A rushing touchdown. He
Right,
might not have got to
rushing
100 yards. He might not have got to 100. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This 2020 secondary, and it's crazy because look at where Sherman is at the end of his career, basically in the back half. Brett, it feels like he's not that old, but he had a lot of time off, so he's kind of in the back half of his career, unless his body is just better than what we would all expect at his age, and with those injuries, he could have more years than say 5. I would probably max him out at 5 or so. But it's this 2020 team because now, even especially when you put Moore out there, you have 2 high safeties, and I kind of like Moore better as the high safety. You touched on this, Grant. Jimmy Ward's a better strong safety, and so they have guys that could take away vertical tight ends, receiving tight ends, and I would love to see this team, healthy with the Nick Bosa, 15 snaps of D Ford per usual.
Carrie Hyder.
So and a more groomed Javon Kimball.
$5 million contract next year because he's an edge rusher who has coming off like a 10 sacks. I mean, if Eric Armstead can do it, can Kerry Hyder do it?
Well, I look at it like Everson Griffin didn't make much money last offseason. What did he get? 6 from the Cowboys?
I don't know. Something. Yeah.
So I kind of look at Hyder's like, what is he really going to cost? $8 million at the most?
All it really takes is 1 year of production as an edge rusher to get paid, right? I don't know.
I mean, like he's about to have 10 sacks this season. 10.
He's gonna get paid.
That's not
I love
something
him
that
more
somebody's
this
just gonna say, "Oh, right."
Yeah.
I'm scared that he's pricing himself out of town because
I think he
someone's
already
gonna be
has.
dumb.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. They're like, man, I desperately need an edge rusher. Who's the best one on the market? Well, this guy had 10.5 sacks. Must be
E Ford will be on the
Well,
market.
wait till
D Ford.
right, well, wait till Mike McCarthy logs into his PFF his subscription. He's gonna see Kerry Hyder at the top and be like, "Bring him in. We need him. That's it."
I love how he got a job because he told Jerry Jones that he studied analytics for a year.
And
First of
did
all,
Because he
PFF.
hung up. He signed up for PFF Elite. That's it. That's all he did, dude. That's it. He can look at broken tackles and he can look at PFF grades, but it hasn't
Here's the
changed
thing about
who he
analytics.
is.
It matters, but it's a fraction of what matters at a
Right.
head coach. What matters is player development, all of that stuff, and he sucks at that. But he's like, hey, I signed up for PFF, and Jerry Jones is like, I like it.
I like it. He's forward thinking. He's those
it.
analytics. Like when those get posted on the timeline, just those, I go nuts. That's a part of the way you evaluate, right? That's a piece. And whether you choose to use that, it's not the end all be all. I'm so sick of that, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Javi is. Javi's just looking like, yeah. He was like, you already
I'm
know
just
what
thinking
I'm
of one person.
It's like all of us watch the Niners every game. Then we go back and watch the film afterward in slow motion from both angles, all 22 in the end zone. And then you got some guy at Pro Football Focus. They don't even tell you who it is. They tell you actually this guy was exactly a 69.7 in this game. It's like, I don't know what that means, but I watched it and I can judge it for myself. Thank you very much, Pro Football Focus. I mean, I guess it's helpful if you're trying to get information on the team you've never seen, but I don't need them to tell me anything about the Niners.
Yeah, absolutely not.
The
tape tells me way more than anything else.
Yeah.
It doesn't lie. It just doesn't lie.
Nope.
And you see Sherman retweet Akash's PFF grade. I think that has something to do now that Sherman's with what's his name?
Collinsworth on that podcast.
Collinsworth. So yeah, Sherman's gonna eat up everything PFF right now. Especially they love Sherman too on PFF.
They do.
I love
They
Sherman.
do.
They do. That's fine. Like I said, that's one part of the story. That's not the full story. So when you guys want to argue with me on Twitter, if you send me the PFF grade, I'm just gonna send you back. Yeah, I'm gonna either mute you or I'm gonna say something out of pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my boy here, Eddie. He's actually a Cowboys fan, so that whole McCarthy talk, you guys got him going.
I live here in Austin, Eddie, and everyone hates the Cowboys down here right now.
That's funny.
Hey, I live here in New Jersey, and a lot of Yankee fans are Cowboys fans, so they're pretty pissed too. It's Washington football team on Thursday when they won that game. For them to send out that tweet saying "rough day for Yankees fans," that was genius. Way to go, Washington football team. Way to go.
We think
love it.
25.
So I was thinking it, and F223 Horacio, he asked the question, what would the Niners record be if they were healthy? I think this team is 13-3, 14-2 again.
We saw
Really
it.
healthy.
Yeah, we saw it basically. They had injuries last year, but all of their skill position players were basically there.
Even with the limitations of the quarterback play, this team is so stacked.
Yeah, that's the thing. The quarterback was limited last year, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I mean,
it mattered until the last 7 minutes of the freaking Super Bowl, but that was it.
No, but then I think the thing that I keep pointing to is I keep watching these other teams in the NFC, and I'm like, this is who they would have went up against. Yeah. You know, like I started the season with like the Bucks. I said that the Bucks were going to be the best 9-7 team in the history of the league. Didn't look too good a little bit earlier, but give it a few weeks, and we might be looking at that. So that's really like. When I was talking about where the 49ers could be, it was more just looking at this conference. Green Bay did nothing to upgrade their team. Nothing. The Saints are the same team that they were last year. The same team, right?
With Tebow at quarterback.
Right, exactly. Now it's even worse, right? Seattle is going to be Seattle. We're always going to have to worry about them. We were always worried about Arizona taking a next step, and they have. But outside of that, I am not afraid when this team is fully healthy of anyone that's not named Kansas City.
And, you know, with Cliff, I'm not afraid of Cliff Kingsbury either.
He's
an idiot.
I picked the Patriots to win that game. I think any team that with a competent head coach and a competent corner to cover DeAndre Hopkins can match up. And you know the Niners should do a much better job against the Cardinals next time with Jason Verrett in the game.
And Kyler's banged up. No matter what,
he is.
Don't let them just tell you because he's running out there he's healthy. He's banged up. I could tell. Yeah. I can tell. There's a big difference between the way he was before that injury and the way he is now. So I know that that's not going away because it's a throwing shoulder. It's not going away. So the 49ers have this going for them. Like I think I'm kind of talking myself into this playoff run myself too now when you talk through it, man.
Yeah.
To me, the quarterback is like way down the list of most important players on this team.
Correct.
The wide receivers are more important. The running backs are more important. The quarterback's job is to throw screens and slants. You know, that's my whole thing with Jimmy. It's like, hey, Jimmy does his job, but you don't need to spend all that money for that. You can get the backup to do it for $750K, and he'll do basically the same job, kind of.
And that's where the issue comes. What do they do with the quarterback position going next year? Because then the quarterback becomes the most important position because they got 31, 40 guys that are going to be free agents.
Right.
So do you hold on to this $25 million for one player, or do you let all these other guys go?
It's no-brainer.
You guys, everyone knows where I stand on this. Like, just go draft a guy. That is the model. You already have the team in place. It's ready to go. You got to pay Bosa in a couple years. You got Fred and Trent Williams. They got to get paid this year. It's a no-brainer to me. If they got to figure out a way to move up in the draft or do something, because this is it's just going to be rough to keep this team intact. And
what do you
sucks
think
is
of
they
Rich
had all those
Madrid
guys.
pumping Mac Jones? What do you think of that?
Who pumped him up?
Mac Jones.
Rich.
I think
Oh,
I think-
Rich knows his stuff, and he's into Mac Jones. And I was like,
Rich
really?
Madrid.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
watched
that surprised
the
me.
film against Georgia, and I saw a little Jimmy Happy Feet with him.
I mean, he could throw downfield.
I watched that one game. I watched him, and he could throw downfield.
I like his arm.
Happy Feet concerns me.
He looks like Kyle Trask looks like the guy that Kyle Shanahan would if like he tried to build him in a lab. Like
Well,
he would
I
try,
like Trask for sure.
he would try to build him like that. Like he's like the prototypical Kyle guy. Like and not just because the names match. Like I feel like I feel like he's gonna start going crazy over this kid like he did Cousins, man. Like I don't know, man. You know, like I see that part. You know, but yes, I'm not.
What do you think? What do you think of Mac Jones though, Jason?
I gotta watch him a little bit more. He has a strong name. That name is fire. Mac M-A-C.
That puts him on second base already. Yeah, I agree.
Easily. Right off the bat, Mac off the bat, conduct like he walks into the huddle. All right, listen, you know his name is
the Mac?
Big Mac.
Return of the Mac.
Mark Morrison, guys.
Yeah.
Mark Morrison is the return of the Mac.
Yes, there it is.
I just with the quarterback play, I would want a quarterback that's doesn't have to be hidden.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mac Jones would need to be hidden. Kyle Trask would need to be hidden. You go get a guy like Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. If you find yourself in a Justin Fields position, you go do those things. But
Trey Lance scares me because of the lack of experience, but the idea of him with Kyle Shanahan makes sense. If he was going to work out anywhere, it would be with someone like Kyle Shanahan. So if Kyle says that Trey Lance could be Steve Young on his system, take him, dude. Take him. Because I think he's got a lot more going for him than Taysom Hill, who seems actually to have a promising future if he sticks with Sean Payton.
The thing
it all matters where you go. That's
exactly.
It's all that matters.
Yeah.
The thing about this is like, you know, is everybody, you know, they get their guy, they get the draft crush, right? And they think that it's a slam dunk, right? Well, there's plenty of guys that were like can't miss guys that come out, right? Like that's the part of this that doesn't really, you know, that it's just a crapshoot still, right? Look, AJ McCarron, good at Bama. How did that work out? Plenty of quarterbacks that tore up college football, come in this league and not been able to do anything. You know, it's just that
even Tua, the best Alabama quarterback of all time, just got benched.
What I was going to say is the way I'm looking at quarterbacks now, I'm learning is how do they throw to a moving target, not these comebacks and hitches.
Right.
I'm looking at how they throw across the field to a moving target. This is that's why I like Zach Wilson so much. That's why I like Justin Fields. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number one guy. Trey Lance does that very well. Mac Jones, because most of these guys are wide open. Are they getting into these positions where they can throw it into a tight window on the move, or the receiver is moving away from them? That's where I'm at with them. Kyle Trask reminds me of a Jared Goff, except for he's not scared to take a hit.
That's the difference. In the pocket.
Trask is tough because his receivers are so good. So he'll throw into small windows. He'll trust Kyle Pitts because you should trust.
I was going to say Pitts is a dog. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, better than Trask. Pitts is amazing.
And then with Eddie brings up Zach Wilson. Everyone says Zach Wilson doesn't play any competition. Okay, his wide receivers aren't very good either. They're just a bunch of Julian Edelmans with less steroids. That's what they are.
He got put on the COVID list today.
Yeah, and then you got
Julian Edelman.
And then people. My thing is, I don't care about level of competition for these college players. Alabama plays the SEC every year, and they haven't produced a quarterback ever, right? Georgia, when's the last good quarterback? Stafford.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally with you. But the only thing about these guys that don't face much of a pass rush in college is the only question I have really is durability.
That's fair.
Are you going to be getting hurt in the NFL? And Zach Wilson doesn't look super big, but I'm not going to say that he will. I love Zach Wilson. I think he's going to be.
He's deceptively 6'3".
Yeah.
That
doesn't make any sense.
I know. He just kind of looks like Drew Lock, who's not small for a quarterback, but he gets hurt a little bit. I don't know. I like Zach Wilson. I would take him, but I just think he's going to be a top 5 pick.
Now it's out of control now. Now it's top 5. It's too high right now. It is. It is Javi's fault. It's all your fault, Javi. As soon as somebody comes to me about what do you think about Zach Wilson, I'm like, who sent you, Javi?
Yeah.
Because of you, he's going top 5. Honestly.
Yeah, way to go, Javi.
49ers Twitter's gonna come for me if we don't pick him. I swear to God.
Dude, you could have just texted us on the side and been like, I want the 49ers to get. You didn't have to go on Twitter and on your podcast and talk about it.
Bro, yeah. I mean, how could you not watch him against Boise State and just like that?
He's fun to watch. He's got a whole flair about him.
Yeah.
Hype up Mac Jones. See what happens.
When Rich said Mac Jones, I was like, really?
Oh, that's what you should do, Javi. Run that
Hype up
misdirection. How about
Yeah.
that? Like,
There you go.
I mean, you're just gonna have to let us all know that you're doing it for that reason because people will jump on you and say that you did
I
like
just
him.
got all the Bama tape and all the BYU tape, so I'm about to do it. There we go.
I think this is great. Who has a higher ceiling, Trask or Jones? I think it's Trask.
Depends on where they go.
What
Right.
I see in Trask is what the Bears thought Trubisky was going to be. A little bigger build, can be a little mobile, not really much. He's not like a Pat Mahomes mobile type pocket quarterback. But I think Trask has that upside compared to Jones. He's not going to have elite receivers against lesser tier cornerbacks in the NFL. Yes, you could have made that case for Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's still playing fantastic, but I don't see a Joe Burrow in Mac Jones, regardless of what his stats are.
I just want to do something real quick, Leo. Let me. I'm just gonna say he doesn't have quarterback face. That's all. Like, go ahead and
Hold on real quick.
Go ahead and share that, Leo. Go ahead, put it up. There you go. Like, come on.
Oh, look at that face.
Oh,
It's not good.
I didn't notice what he
it's
looked
all
like
bad.
under the helmet.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, hold on real quick. When we talk about scouting quarterbacks, I like what Javi said, how he's looking at guys hitting moving targets. I think there's another thing we should look about. It's not just about your physical gifts. It's not just a position of athleticism. That's corner. That's more running back. It is a position of repetitions and experience.
Correct.
That's what Bill Walsh always said. And when you look at a guy like Joe Burrow, he came into the league with 945 pass attempts in college. That's a good number. That's a real good number.
Yeah.
Kyle Trask already has had 649 and counting with about 4 games to go. That's good. You look at Mac Jones, 381 pass attempts in college. That's scary. Same with Trey Lance. I mean, it's nice to look at their skill set, but are you coming into the league totally green? Because it's not a developmental league. It's not.
I think you're right about that too. My bad, Javi. I didn't.
No, I was gonna say with when it comes to like Zach Wilson and Fields and Lawrence and even Trask, when you mentioned repetition, when you see them throw the ball, the motion looks the same. Their feet are attached to their eyes. They move towards their target that they're throwing to. That is the biggest issue I have with Jimmy Garoppolo, where he stays square and all he wants to do is throw with his hips. And that's why you have so many balls that are high, low, behind, and late. Like, you have to align your feet. Your eyes need to be where your target is and throw to the target. And that's the biggest issue I have with Mullins, CJ, and Jimmy. But when you look at these 4 guys in college, those are my top 4. I think there's a big gap between the top 3 and Trask. But I think Trask could work in this system because, like I said, I'm comparing him to Kirk and to Jared Goff. We all know Goff and Kirk work well in this system. But I think Kyle's going to want a guy where if one of his really sweet play calls isn't going to work, this quarterback could bail him out and make something out of nothing. Where yesterday Jason was like, "Is that Nick Mullins moving out of the pocket?" And I retweeted with the Christmas miracle. Because you need something.
Hey, I got one more question about Zach Wilson. And I like him, but if you're going to bring up skepticism just to make sure that he's the right guy, he has had a lot of experience. He's had 738 passes in college. His 2019 and his 2018 were nothing special.
Not at all.
They weren't bad, and you could say that he was he had one good year in college. Now, a lot of guys have had one good year in college, but I don't know. That's another thing that makes me a little nervous.
Well, that's the thing with Trubisky, right? Trubisky played how many games, right? And that's it, right? And then the thing is too,
experience, only 1 year. Right. Who's a 1 year wonder?
And what everybody forgets about Burrow, which is why I was fine taking him at 1, is that his age and his confidence, right, is what you said, right? Athleticism's there, right? But Joe Burrow looks like the man. When he walks in the room, he's looking at you like, I'm the man. And that's what to lead a franchise like the Bengals out of the pits, the absolute pits. You need a guy like that. And that's the stuff that you can't quantify, right? Yes. So, and remember, Joe Burrow, I would equate him coming into the league as him being like a really good backup quarterback before he's even taken a snap because of his age, because of what he did on the national stage, right? So that's why I feel like the Bengals went with him, right? But I think that now, after we've seen a little bit more, I think we all kind of agree that Justin Herbert is it. right?
That was my guy. That was
Yeah.
number one
Oh,
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah,
So that's my thing, right? It's like right there.
But in college, they were like, well, he doesn't do any of this
Yeah.
stuff. Well, because his offense sucked in college.
That's what I'm saying. And then like you look at it, right? And there's no shame in everybody saying Burrow is the right choice for the Bengals, but then you find that Justin Herbert's going to be the better guy probably down the line, and it's like that's the part that makes this all a little bit, this whole quarterback crapshoot. Exactly that crapshoot.
I mean, look at Herbert. I mean, his college credentials: 1,293 pass attempts. He had 2 dominant seasons, 18 and 19. He was can't miss in retrospect. Honestly, if you had put him on Alabama and put Tua on Oregon, what do you think would happen? I mean,
Alabama
would
was a
have
national title.
Yeah, exactly. And Oregon Tua would have struggled.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
think it was pretty right in front of our eyes.
And with the Zach Wilson thing, when you look at his 18 and 19 numbers, he already had a rotator cuff surgery. So
True. That
was
was
the
something.
durability thing.
No.
That's
I love
the
Zach
question.
Wilson.
And
I feel like it's hard to scout quarterbacks, and you never know if a guy's like
Exactly.
totally can't miss. Trevor
Exactly.
Lawrence seems can't miss.
Yeah.
But the other ones, it's always like, hope.
That's why I don't go on Twitter with my quarterback assessments. That's the one that I will not do that. I won't because I'm not certain. I'm not certain, man. Like I watch guys make throws that I'm like, oh my God, he looks like the guy, right? Like I was convinced for a little while that Baker Mayfield was the guy. And look what happened. So that's my thing. I stay away from the quarterback assessments. I leave that to the guys who are better at it than me. Yeah. And then, whatever, I can go back and revise whatever I thought and say, yeah, I was on him the entire time.
If you go back and remember Mitch Trubisky, I mean, he kind of looked like the total package that 1 year at North Carolina.
I didn't. I was begging.
What did you
not take him. I did not want Trubisky at all. It was Kyle, take Watson.
Sure, fair enough.
Watson,
yeah. Watson was proven. He'd been a starter for a long time. But
and
Trubisky's 1 year, he looked like he had a strong arm. He looked mobile. He looked like he kind of had everything. But again, he was a mirage.
And this goes. And Grant, if you go back and watch that year that he was in Notre Dame, in UNC,
Carolina,
what is he throwing to? Guys that are standing still.
Good point.
And now he can't hit a guy on the move at all. That's moving across the field. He just can't do it. When it comes to Ian Book out of Notre Dame, I mean, I think he's undrafted. I think he's an undrafted free agent type of quarterback. I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, I don't know.
My assessment,
that's the thing.
Early on assessment.
I literally just told you I'm not going to do quarterback assessments, but him, I don't really like him, honestly. I don't
like him either.
I don't see it. So that one, if I'm wrong, whatever, y'all can come for me. But that's the one that I feel most certain that I'm just like, I'm good on him for sure.
Yeah, I think, it's
college scheme.
It's just, I don't know. I don't see it.
College makes him successful. Not really.
What, Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, there's guys that go and they dominate the NCAA. Dominate. It doesn't matter where they are, right? They could play at a small school and dominate, a big school and dominate, and then they come in the league and they don't do anything. That's really what I'm worried about with Ian Book. I just feel like it's him being lifted up.
What North Carolina Notre Dame quarterback has ever been anything in the NFL? I don't
Joe
know.
Montana.
Good point.
Him?
I should know that.
Brady Quinn.
He was
Brady Quinn.
Brady Quinn.
He's a really good analyst.
Oh yeah,
good hair. He's got good hair.
Yeah.
But I think this is fair. Like, what's the chances we actually draft a QB? I think we will, but we all wanted Lamb or Ruggs at a certain point at wide receiver, and I think that's going to be the same situation at quarterback because even it goes further than that. We all wanted, like you said, Watson or even Jamal Adams. They took Solomon Thomas. And then same thing happened with McGlinchey. We all wanted Tremaine Edmonds or Minkah Fitzpatrick. Wow, looking back, they could have had Minkah Fitzpatrick on this defense right now. But I think it's going to be somebody else. I think it's just going to come down to what Kyle likes. And if Kyle likes that person, he's not afraid to take them way too high.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I try to tell people that all the time. Like, I get it. You like guys and everything, but it's not up to you. Like, it depends on who Kyle likes. So you better hope that he likes your guy.
That's my list. That's my top 10.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like Trask. I think I like him number 2. I think I put him all the way at number 2. I really like Trask.
No, talk to me about Justin Fields, right? Because I know everybody's in love with the arm and his mobility and everything. Sometimes I see that he has the same footwork issues. Sometimes, like his foot's lifting up. Sometimes I see that. Mm-hmm. So talk to me a little bit about him with that. What you see in that?
Yeah.
I think he's going to need to go to the right spot, and maybe if Saleh goes to Jacksonville when he has LaFleur as his OC, that would work. They run the same type of offense. I don't think Grant likes Fields.
I do like Fields. I just don't like Ohio State. He's not being prepared, and he's going to be confused by blitzes and coverages.
So.
He's going to see
that's
stuff
fair.
he's never seen. It's not his fault.
I would let Fields sit a year.
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
I would let him sit or half a season.
That's fine. That's fine.
You throw him
maybe
in half.
Maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work.
The other in Washington, sitting behind Alex Smith, could that possibly survive his career? Because he's not ready in that Ohio State scheme. He wasn't.
The other thing I see too with Fields is sometimes he doesn't get the ball out on time because he's relying on his arm. Like he knows his arm can get it there, so he's just like a tick late, and then that's allowing defenders to get over there. I saw a little bit of his film, and that's what I noticed on some of it. So I haven't seen it all, so don't quote me on all that. But I did notice that he relies on his arm, like his arm, just his arm, like his lower half needs work.
Jay Cutler was the same way.
Yep.
Trask reminds me. You compared him to Goff. He reminds me more like Rivers because he doesn't have the biggest arm, but he's very accurate. He does push the ball down the field to the extent that he can, and he's tough. And he moves relatively well in the pocket for a guy who's not particularly mobile. Now, he runs more than Rivers. Rivers won't run at all, but they're both have like this. Can't. He's more mobile than that. But they both have like really accurate arms. So I would, and the Goff comparison, I think Goff is so bad. He's so bad, and I like Trask. So to me, I see a toughness and a competitiveness and smarts. Like something about Goff that he looks like a moron. Like he honestly can't. Like he looks like a mouth breather. Like he breathes with his mouth.
He is a mouth breather. I say the same thing. Yeah.
So
Trask is actually. Is it because of the Malibu's? Is it because of the Malibu's most wanted thing? Like, are we just gonna run off with him?
He sits on the bench like this when they're losing or when they're winning. I mean, he's just I don't know about Jared.
Ramley might screen record this and post you that you're talking about Goff.
Hey Ramley.
He's a mouth breather.
4 straight.
Mouth.
4 straight. 4 straight. Four straight wins. 3 good players on defense.
There's the guy in the middle of this list that doesn't get talked about. Carson Strong out of Nevada. I think you'll like him, Jason.
I watched him against San Diego State. I had to. San Diego State was playing, and he didn't look good that game. That was probably
he didn't look good that game, yeah. But for the most part, I think he would be.
That's all I've seen of him, though. That's all I've seen of him.
I think he'd be fine to sit, but the problem is the Niners can't afford to have a expensive bridge quarterback, so they need somebody who's going to come in right away.
His name is fire. So if we're talking about name, pushing people up. Carson Strong, good God.
Yeah. Maybe Carson Wentz changed his name to Carson Strong, keep his job.
Well, we'll see.
Carson Wentz sounds a little bit like Carson Weak.
We'll see in about 20 minutes because he might be hurt by his replacement.
Oh my goodness. Jalen Hurts looks so bad in the few snaps that I've seen him this year. I don't know what's going on in Philly. What the hell is going on in Philly?
Here's the question I have, right? You're the Eagles, right? And you let it be known that you're letting Jalen Hurts run the first team offense in practice?
Ownership.
Why? Look, I saw Carson Wentz in person. He has no offensive line, no receivers, no run game. He single-handedly beat the 49ers. He's a hell of a player. What are they doing over there? Are they going to get rid of him and just hand him to some team so he can imagine him on
Well, they can't. His contract is retarded. Like his contract is so bad.
Okay.
But I think
a lot of teams would want him.
There's a very
hell yeah.
with when it comes to Doug Peterson is, kind of tapped out. The word that he used is tapped out. Basically, he's just tired of being a coach, essentially. He's got, tired legs, I guess.
Well, then get him the hell out of there. What in the world is going on in Philadelphia? That's weird.
He was almost fired last year. That's right. People don't know that, but he was almost fired.
It's all bad though. It's all bad, right? So look, there's a world where you said Wentz doesn't have a line, doesn't have a run game, all that stuff. He's playing like shit too. He really is. He's missing throws.
He's making it worse.
Right. So it's not, look, I'm not going to put all the blame on him, and everybody needs functional pieces around him, but he's playing like doo-doo right now. And he should tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the reason why they're going off of Wentz is because of the East Coast media. They're tough. There are a bunch of Grant Cohns over there. Luckily, the 49ers have one Grant Cohn.
No. Here, but
I'll say this.
At least Grant gets some results going. These guys are just yelling at people in Philly, and anything they say just gets ignored. Grant's got some pull with the team here.
I don't know. I think Niner fans are just as ruthless as Eagles fans when it comes to quarterbacks.
We are.
Like, if you're not Steve Young or Joe Montana, get the hell out of town. Just get the hell out of here, man. Go play for the freaking Raiders or the Chargers or something, because we have standards around here. Gosh darn it. That's how it feels like to me. It's like Jeff Garcia was never good enough. Alex Smith, get the hell out of town. Colin Kaepernick was maybe kind of, sort of. Jimmy Garoppolo was controversial. Nick Mullins is just offensive to Niner fans. They just can't stand looking at him.
You didn't even touch on CJ Beathard yet either.
Oh my God. I wouldn't want to be a quarterback for the Niners. It's too hard. You're never going to be Joe Montana. Dude, it's too hard.
Standards too high. Yeah.
It's too high.
Yeah,
it's too high.
For sure.
Yeah.
We went really long, Leo.
We did.
Right? Almost 2
Leo,
hours, bro.
Is Leo still
Sorry.
here?
Yeah, I was about to say, you're not frozen?
He just checked out. Nah, he did.
He's frozen.
He did.
All right.
All right. Well, now
All right.
we're on your YouTube channel. Now we got ultimate control.
Now let's talk about the things that really matter. Like, we should might as well just talk about something that's like completely off brand. But I'm just, you know what, this win on Sunday, like, I really, like, I text you, Javi, right after. I was like, damn it, I care again. Like, damn it. Like, you know, like, crap. I thought I was like, I was fully ready after this game to just go ahead and say draft. Yeah, you got to get out the way.
Where's Leo? There he is.
There he is.
Who cares today?
We just ruined your YouTube channel, man. You're done.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you're gonna, see monetization from this, man.
Sorry.
No, Niners just have to figure it out. They're in the hunt. We'll see.
If they find a way to beat Buffalo, this season gets real interesting.
It's on.
I don't know if
it's
they
on.
will, but
Grant, if they go 9-7, 10-6, is Kyle Shanahan coach of the year?
Yes. My first answer would be yes. I don't know who else would be in the running.
Brian Flores.
Well, Tomlin's doing it. If Tomlin goes 16-0, it might be tough to unseat him.
They played nobody.
Right.
They're about to play RG3 on Wednesday. Like, come on.
Brian Flores.
I would definitely say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would deserve it because of that, and it's a during the year thing. So if the 49ers like win out and they go 10-6,
he got evicted. Like, come on.
You could argue that Kyle's the head coach of the year and that Salah's the coordinator of the year.
Absolutely.
But they got to get to 9-7. They got to get to 9-7.
They have to get to 10-6. The voters aren't going to give him 9-7.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
But
if they beat the Buffalo Bills, who can't they beat? Where's the loss coming? I don't think that much of Arizona. Seattle's tough always, but they have major weaknesses. If they win against Buffalo, wow, things are going to get interesting.
Well, but remember, Seattle in Week 17, that game might not mean anything for them. And that just benefits the 49ers more. You know, I mean, I would not see Seattle being so petty and saying, you know what, we're good. I don't care. Get out there. We're going to try to stop these guys from getting in. You know, so I mean, you know, all things considered, right? The more we talk through this, the more I'm just about to just like go yell in the room, like we're back, like chip back on, we're running it back. Like, but no, it's really out there. It's laid out for the 49ers control their own destiny. And that's what I like about it. Win your games and everything else takes care of itself. You don't really need outside help.
Nah, and Javi's right. Like, they are limited by their quarterback position. They're playing a backup quarterback. But what they do have going for them is they're the best coach team in the NFC.
Easily.
So they really are. So I'm not writing them off, man. This defense is playing way better than it should be. And when Nick Mullins has Kyle Shanahan's backing and Deebo Samuel on the field, that's a competitive team.
Yeah.
There is a difference between Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard, as much as people would like to think that there isn't. There is. They can't win with CJ. There's something about him. But with Nick, at least he gives them a chance.
CJ is like the white guy at a dance party. He just can't dance. He has no rhythm. Like, that's the thing. It's just there's no rhythm. That's what it is. And
right. Dude, I'm not mad about the
Are
mullet.
you listening to the beat?
Beard and the mullet is offensive. Like, that's really when you're like, yeah.
Like, this offense is based on rhythm. It's a rhythm offense.
Yes.
Right.
Jimmy can do it and Nick can do it. And CJ's listening to country music in his head while Kyle has Lil Wayne playing for his offense.
The rhythm is off with him. You're absolutely right. That's a good call. I like that. Something about that.
Yep.
It's like he's like
podcasting earlier. I tell you,
he's just like I don't know what it's like. Everything's a beat too late for him, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
A beat too late.
Yeah.
He's like Elaine of quarterbacks.
Leo, I got
Elaine.
Great.
Yeah, me
no,
too.
I'm
Yeah,
going to tell you guys.
All
right.
I appreciate everyone that stayed along as well for this long. Hey, I owe you guys beer, steak, something. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Sounds good. All right.
Later.